Hey guys, it's MattPat back with another video, and today I just wanted to take a few minutes to do a little review on a movie I watched about a week and a half ago, or almost 2 weeks ago, I guess, called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. You may have heard of it. It's about Nicolas Cage, starring as Nicolas Cage in this film. I also think he may have directed it and produced it as well. I'm not sure, maybe written it. I don't know. Anyway, so it's Nicolas Cage plays himself, and he essentially is this slightly older, struggling actor, kind of like himself in real life. And he's struggling to find parts in movies, and he's struggling to find roles. He's like really passionate about his craft, and he's still really invested in his career, but he's not getting the attention that he may have once had. And he's also having to take like crappy roles and whatnot. And yet throughout he's still like super positive and super passionate about the art form. And so as someone who's an amateur filmmaker who likes to make, short films and skits and YouTube videos and that sort of thing, I really appreciated this plot line about someone who is feels like their craft is being underappreciated or they're struggling to make the movies that they want. And so I think if you are in that boat, then I think you'll definitely appreciate the plot. And I think there were a lot of jokes kind of about his naivety and how, if I remember correctly, there was one line where he said something like, "It's an art form that's existed for since the beginning of time." And he said this in response to a role that he was offered, not in a movie, but to be basically like a to go hang out with this rich gangster, which is basically the plot of the film if you watch it. And he is insulted that he's not getting an actual film role. And so just the comedic value of him not being appreciated the way he wants to, but still being passionate about it and being restricted by maybe more the business side of things or the time constraints and whatnot is I really appreciate it. And I think that if you are also maybe an artist or a filmmaker, then you will also appreciate it for this. I think it's a comedy film made for filmmakers and actors, artists, whatever. But overall, if you're someone who is like the general audience and you're just looking for a movie that's just laugh out loud funny, I don't think this is the movie for you. There wasn't a ton of like laugh out loud, bend over, bust a gut type of humor. There were chuckles throughout, references to his movies and whatnot. And if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, I think you'll definitely find some humor in this. Or if you really love a good meme like Nicolas Cage, then I think you'll probably get some joy out of watching this movie. But I think if you're just the general audience member, then I think you can skip this one and try another more palatable comedy movie, such as, I don't know, maybe The Lost City. I haven't seen it yet, but it seems like it's that type of movie. And I went with a friend. His name's Cole Michaud, by the way. Shout out to Cole. And he described the movie as meta. Like that was the one word he used to describe it. I think that was a pretty accurate word to use for this movie. Because one, it has a ton of references and jokes about Nicolas Cage's movies. And I wish I had watched some more of the ones that I hadn't seen before just to get some of the jokes. Like obviously I've seen some of the more popular ones like National Treasure, Raising Arizona, which is actually one of my favorite comedy films, and some of his other movies. Uh, some of them I hadn't watched, like what's the Tomb? Oh, The Rock. I haven't seen all of that. I've seen parts of it. Heard that one's good. Um, Tomb or Ghost Rider. Yeah, Ghost Rider. I haven't seen that one. And so there's a lot of these movies probably that actually aren't worth seeing all that much, but definitely would have been kind of fun to watch, especially leading up to this movie. And so, like I said, that one word to describe it would be meta. And I think this just rings true considering that towards the end of the movie, spoiler alert, the story, the character of Nicolas Cage in the movie makes a movie about the story that happened in the film, which is funny because it's in a movie that Nicolas Cage made starring himself. So it was basically a Nicolas Cage movie inside a Nicolas Cage movie. And in both movies, the one inside the movie and the actual movie itself, Nicolas Cage is playing himself. So in that way, it was very almost like Inception in a way, Inception of Nicolas Cage, you might say. And so I think it was a very inventive movie. And I mean, the title itself really enticed me. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It just goes to show you the type of humility and self awareness that Nicolas Cage has to kind of like poke fun at himself in this movie and some of his not so good movies and some of his struggles as an actor that are probably actually very real for him. And so I really appreciated that his self awareness in an industry that probably lacks a lot of self awareness, aka Hollywood. And so I really appreciated that. I would say, will I watch this movie again? Maybe if it's on and I'm bored and I don't have anything else to do, but this isn't the type of movie that I'm just going to buy and watch over and over again. I don't think I am throughout my lifetime and like put it in my top 10 movies of all time and like show it to my kids and whatnot. But overall, I would say, like I said, if you have a love, if you're a movie buff, you have a love for the art of filmmaking, or you're just an artist in general and you want to watch a movie about a struggling artist, I definitely recommend it for that reason. But if you're just a casual moviegoer who doesn't really care all that much about Nicolas Cage, then I'd say you can definitely skip this one. Overall, I would say, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. One major criticism I have for the movie is that there's a ton of like vulgar language. And if you don't know what I mean by vulgar, I just mean repeated uses of the same word in which it is not meant. So just saying the F word in sentence after sentence, or GD, even though it like isn't even applicable in the sentence. That's just what I mean by vulgar. I think it's important to define that word. And I think this movie easily could have been a PG-13 rating if it just didn't have all of that vulgar language in it throughout, because there honestly weren't that many raunchy jokes. There's like one raunchy joke, and it was actually kind of funny. It was actually pretty funny. But other than that, there weren't that many raunchy jokes in it, and so it was really unnecessary for it to be rated R, except for the fact that there was so much vulgar language and like F bombs in it. So overall, if they had taken that out, I think it would have made the movie more accessible to a wider audience, and it really just wasn't necessary in the first place. I also really like the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal. Their unlikely friendship, and how Nicolas Cage was a struggling actor and Pedro Pascal was this gangster who's not really a gangster and really is just a puppet ruler for his cartel or whatever. I thought the unlikely friendship that they built was really funny, and the actors did a good job of playing it up, and how they are both working against each other, but also had this undeniable chemistry with each other was really funny, and the trust issues that they had as a result was really funny. And there's this one scene where they're both like tripped on like LSD or something, or acid or something, and they're really paranoid for no reason, and that's probably one of their best scenes together in the movie. It was also really funny how they would go through like each scene. They would have ups and downs of like wanting to kill each other, but also like wanting to protect each other at the same time, and how Pedro Pascal's character had this like idolization of Nick Cage in all his movies, and had his own like collector's item room in his house, and just in general how they had this like toxic relationship of like, they because of business, that they have to kill each other, because Nicolas Cage is working with the CIA. He has to take this drug dealer out, aka Pedro Pascal's character, and Pedro Pascal character has to take out Nicolas Cage to save the cartel or the mafia or whatever. It was just a really interesting tension, and it made for some clever humor within their dynamic as a duo. And so that was great. So overall, those are my thoughts on the movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you found it informative. Thank you.